Today we got The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 6, called The Price. And guys, buddy, we got Joel back, and we decided we're going to take a trip down memory lane in multiple flashbacks, going in multiple time jumps on the events of what happened in between Season 1 and Season 2, and what really kind of made the relationship between Joel and Ellie deteriorate, because there was a lot of hope in the beginning, and then you can kind of start to see things get better, but things start to kind of unfold in a very awful way. And along the journey, things happen. But man, what an opening to the episode!
Amazing opening. That's again because I've played The Last of Us Part 2 so many times, and I was telling the guys before we started, I've been kind of iffy about this season, but this really is like the best episode they've done because I love what they changed. I mean, seeing Joel as a kid, that was actually like incredible, and learning like kind of what he went through as a kid, being there for Tommy, like that conversation he had with his dad. I was like, there's something different about this episode. Great dialogue between those two. That was absolutely phenomenal.
I also want to touch on not only that scene, because holy fuck, I was not expecting that. I saw Austin, Texas, 1983. I was like, oh shit, it's Joel and Tommy when I saw the kids talking.
Yeah.
I just want to shout out how great the actor that they chose for Joel's father, because again, Danny might need to step out for this one. The swordsman Jack Duquesne from fucking Hawkeye is Joel and fucking Tommy's dad. It's from Hawkeye. Is dude, he walked in, I was just like, oh, it's the fucking swordsman, dude. I was hyped, bro. I love that when you hear him like cry, you can hear him emulate Pedro Pascal's Joel, like the way like when he's crying and the way that he's saying certain words, and like even just the look in his face. I want to talk to the. Let me English real quick because my brain is just moving so fast. I just want to shout out the casting department, because oh my god, the casting in this show has been phenomenal. Gabriel Luna and fucking Pedro Pascal genuinely look like they could 100% be siblings. Their dad, Jack Duquesne, 100% looks like that could 100% be Pedro Pascal's dad. Like, the casting has been phenomenal for this show. Phenomenal. And then having Jeffrey Wright back as Isaac, the chick that played Marlene is playing Marlene again. What a time, bro. Like what a show. Because I was mind blown. I was not expecting any of this. Like, for example, Josh Peck to show up in the last I think episode 4.
Yeah, I'm like, is that Josh Peck?
Yeah,
like,
dude.
Whoa. I was like, I told my wife, like, look who this is. Am I tripping?
Yeah, dude.
I was like, wow, dude. And then can't forget my girl, is it Catherine O'Hara? I mean, bro, dude, she's been in everything lately, which is great. I mean, it's just been great to see her come back, dude. Like, she's been awesome.
I love that
growing up as a massive fan of Home Alone to see Catherine O'Hara, bro.
It was funny. I only really knew her from that, and then I actually, when I rewatched Beetlejuice, like, man, I kind of miss her, dude. Like, she's great. Yeah. She was awesome, dude.
I dove into fucking like. And one of the blessings about streaming and like YouTube, like we talked a little bit before Danny got here about all that shit, but like one of the blessings is on Twitch, you can get away with like watching shows and movies and not get copyright anything. And like as long as you don't put them up, you're good. I got into Schitt's Creek heavy. Yeah. Like heavy. And I love me some Moira Rose, and that's her character. And she's just a more grounded, traumatized Moira Rose in this show. And I fucking love it, because I just finished Schitt's Creek like shortly before Last of Us Season 2 dropped, and I'm like, dude, I feel literally like the emptiness in my gut. It's like when The Office ended. Like I was just ruined, and I was just empty inside. I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna do now? And then Last of Us came, and I forgot she'd gotten casted, and then she showed up on screen. I was like, oh, yeah, I was hyped, bro.
Off topic. And speaking of shows, this is sort of off topic or whatever, so you can probably edit this out, bro. That new show Task that's coming out, bro. I saw the preview before this episode. That show looks really good.
I don't even know what that is.
It's like it's a show with Mark Ruffalo, and he's like, I'm assuming he's like some kind of detective or cop, and they're trying to like hunt down this group of people that are like performing like these break-ins and shit all over their town, and it has to do with like murder and like crime and everything, and it looks solid. Like it looks genuinely solid. And I was actually like talking to Ash too. We were watching the episode. I'm like, dude, I kind of want to watch that in September when that drops, because it looks kind of fucking hype. I'm not gonna lie.
I'll watch the trailer. I've never heard of it, so I'll check it out for sure.
But yeah, like getting back into like where we are in the episode, I liked that we were tying up every single loose end. Like we were seeing the interactions between I think it was Spencer, the guy that Joel had pushed, or Seth. Seth.
Yeah, Seth.
That's the guy that Joel had pushed, and like he had it'd been like what 2 months, 3 months that Joel and
Yeah.
Elliot had shown up, and they're like the new people, like so to speak.
Yeah.
I liked seeing that dynamic, and like knowing that Seth was a cop, and God, this fucking episode tore me in two, bro. Like all of it genuinely hurt me so bad.
They did a lot more, which I really like especially with that character in the game. He's not even like a real, like he's there, but they don't really do much with him. So him having like some of the things they changed and have him be more part of the story was really, really cool. And again, go back to Catherine O'Hara's character. Like she's obviously not in the game, but she is in addition to this show that adds that extra weight that I feel like the show in ways does better than the game because of characters like that. So when I see
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, it really does make me go like, dang, they really are changing things for like the better. And like I really do feel like it makes the story progress forward, especially in this episode. Because it was funny, I was telling my wife, I was like, oh, we're doing the like, because my biggest complaint with part 2 is that they tell a lot of the story through flashbacks, and I'm just like, I really just want the game to keep going forward, even though I know that the flashbacks are important. But and that was my worry with this episode. I was like, man, it's
So
just going to be like, oh yeah, go ahead, bro. Yeah, please.
let me ask you.
Yeah.
I know that you said you don't like season 2 that much. Would this might have to be able to have anything to do with it? Like, did it need these things that were missing in season 2? Kind of like, okay, this is why this is happening, and now I kind of like the bigger picture is kind of being like painted now in real time.
Yeah, I would say the thing is, I know that season 3 is also going to be the game. I know I know exactly how they're going to end it. I put money on the table how I know it's going to end. The thing is, for me, it's like I guess my biggest complaint was like after episode 2, I just wasn't like, I really do like Ellie and Dina. I like them a lot in the game, but like playing the game, like I love the combat, I love those types of things. But for me, I was just kind of bored with them, just kind of like walking around and they're just kind of doing all this talking. It just wasn't engaged me as much as I
Yeah.
wanted it to personally. No, obviously we want to see her relationship more with Joel, which what I love about this show is that it is exploring more. Because again, there was so much in this episode to unpack in regards to Ellie and Joel's relationship. Like they combined flashbacks together to make scenes, and I thought that was because Neil Druckmann directed this episode, and obviously
Yes,
he
he did.
directed part 2. And I love that he combined certain flashbacks to make them more coherent. I thought that was obviously they changed some things, like when they give her like that scene in the kitchen when it's like, and he gives her the guitar. That's like the very beginning of Last of Us Part 2. That's like in the beginning of the game, and so like, it was cool to like see them like incorporate that part into the story. I thought that was just a really cool thing that they did. That's one positive that I liked about this episode, is that the flashback, in my personal opinion, is actually doing a better job of telling the story than like the actual story of what's going on, in my personal opinion. So I really did like this better because I just like the story better in this one, I would say.
So
I kind of like what they did in this episode too, like with all the flashbacks or whatever, because like obviously in episode 2 we see the demise of Joel or whatever, and I remember me, Ben, and it might have been our buddy Taylor that was on. Like I was talking, like I was like, they have to have a scene play out to where it's like Joel finally tells Ellie the truth. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
It
we'll
was like
get
one
there.
of our predictions or whatever.
Yeah,
We'll
get there.
We'll talk about that too.
So
for sure.
I want to touch on something that you'd actually said too. So, fuck, my mind just shut right off, and I just had it. Hold up, my mind just shut up.
That's all good. It's all good.
Oh, that's what it was. So, you said that you have like you would put money on the table on how it ends, and I love that because like this is actually one of the first episodes we actually get to talk to somebody who has played through the games. Like this is something I've been waiting for. Next week we actually have the live finale where we're going to be going live with Kyle from Riker Road, who is an avid fucking Naughty Dog advocate with everything. Like he breathes like this storyline. Like he bleeds. Like every time a fucking episode ends, he's one of the first people to text me and be like, "Dude, holy shit!" And like, we talk about it a little bit,
Yeah, for sure.
So like the way I see it And like I've been saying this to every single guest that we've had on the show because like I love that you just I want to know like because this is a spoiler talk like area like we talk about everything.
Yeah.
So the way that I kind of like saw how this might play out is like season 1 obviously is Ellie and Joel's story. Like Joel obviously getting ready for Ellie for what is happening now.
Yeah.
Season 2 is Joel's loss and like Ellie kind of coming to terms with that, and now we're seeing the journey of to like what she's gonna do with her retribution.
Yeah.
Season 3, I have a feeling is gonna be a lot in Abby's perspective. Like we're gonna be getting a lot of fucking Abby. Like we're gonna be getting like Abby's like through like her finding her dad, going through the 5 years, killing Joel, what came after. We're gonna be getting a lot of like flashbacks again. I have a feeling. Season 4, the final season, season 4, is Ellie's retribution and like her vengeance and also her redemption arc where we're gonna tie off the story. That's the way that I kind of see the seasons being played out.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. I do think season 3, it'll be all about Abby. We're gonna get her side of the story because that switch happens in the game, and I do think that's where the show's gonna end. It's gonna have that switch because that's when you start playing as Abby, and it's gonna go through everything leading up to when she found Ellie at the theater, and it's gonna play that whole thing. Because again, we haven't even seen like Lev yet. He has not been introduced at all, and his sister has been introduced, and so like they're a huge part of the game on Abby's side. So I think that's all going to be in the next season. So I do think the last episode will be that switch, and then we have to wait until season 3. I guarantee that's what's going to happen.
Nice. Okay, sweet. So I was all right.
That's my thought. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Because where's Abby been? I mean, if you think about it, in my thing where it's like, we obviously got introduced like to Isaac's character, all these other characters coming in, and like that's all part of Abby's storyline, and they're I feel like they're introduced in this, and then they kind of like go away, and I'm like, oh, where are they going? But I was like, we have a whole nother season of it's going to be about Abby, so we're going to get all that in the next season, 100%.
I'm kind of curious, like, because I know that Abby, her story heavily coincides with the scars and everything. Now. I know that it has nothing to do with this episode, but like I really am curious as to what you think about it because again, you played the games, you have like strong opinions on them. What did you think about the betrayal of the spores?
I liked it. I thought it was actually really cool. Like I thought that was really interesting way that they did it. Like there's certain things that they did in the show that I'm really liking that they did. So like I have no problems with that. I thought that was actually like really cool. Are you talking about like with Nora? Are you talking about that scene? What happened? Or just
dude, that whole thing was a whole money shot for Ellie, dude. Like down in B2, Ellie has a superpower, bro. Like that is her playground. If she dragged everybody down there, everybody would lose, and she would just have to climb up the ladder again, bro. Like to see that amount of like fearlessness, tunnel vision. Like nobody's coming down to save you, bro. Like you're stuck down here with me. Like this is fucking like. That whole scene was just money, but like I just wanted to like see where your head was at with the betrayal of the spores because I know a lot of people were definitely kind of miffed in season 1 that the spores weren't there because I guess it was a huge crucial piece of the first game, right?
It was, yeah, but I think the way they told the story, it makes sense to me. So like that's what, like to me that's like one of the things I don't really worry about too much. I think it's fine of what they're doing. I think it's cool. So I have really no complaints in regards to that in particular.
Sweet. Okay.
Yeah. So it's cool. Yeah.
So now, like going back into like the flashbacks with Joel and Ellie, I just want to say shout out to their chemistry. You know, their chemistry on screen is undeniable. Like in this episode too, like you felt like that actual like familial bond between them. Like it genuinely felt like Ellie was Joel's daughter. You know, and she was happy as fuck to like be living a real childhood, like Joel's going out of the way to get cakes made for her because that's a hard thing, like making cake technically, in a world like this where flour was the enemy, we're risking these things to make sure that she's able to have as much of a normal childhood as possible in this destroyed world. And we went through 4 birthday flashbacks, and every birthday something was different. Something different was happening, and like their whole evolution for the relationship. Ellie's, coming of age, that which is going to be really rough to talk about here in a second, because there was a moment there that caught me that I was genuinely kind of hurt by. I was just like, oh fuck, like that actually kind of hurts, because it makes sense, but it fucking hurt. Like for example, there was a birthday sequence where Ellie was fucking around upstairs with another woman who we actually saw in episode 1 or 2, and when they were on patrol with that whole group. And actually, before we get into this one, let's go back to where she burned her arm on purpose. Let's start there. First of all, the dedication that must take, because I know it's probably hard as hell keeping the secret that she got bit, and she's immune and everything. She's like, oh, I really wanted to wear short sleeves. Like, yeah, dude, that's a thing. Like, that's like an actual thing.
100%, dude.
But seeing even how she reacts to all that, and seeing how Joel reacts to all that, it's like through all of these normal things, they're getting super close. And now going back to that scene where she got caught fucking around upstairs, that scene genuinely hurt me. Like, that scene genuinely hurt. For a couple things. Like, one, we've all, I mean, we've all been caught in the act, so to speak, and that's never a fun time, especially by a parent. That is never a fun time.
It's quite bad. Yep.
I was very surprised by Joel's reaction. Like, that is what kind of put things into perspective a little bit, and that's when things kind of started getting rocky for their relationship. Because beforehand, like with this, the dinosaur, for example, and like one of the first flashbacks, her being happy as hell to see like a dinosaur in its real size because she's never seen one, and then overhead sees the museum where, again, big shout out to everybody on set for how they did exactly what they did in the game, and almost shot it, from what I understand, the same exact way inside the space. The shuttle.
They literally took, like, for real. Like, I that was one of my favorite scenes in the game, and boy, I thought they actually did it better in the show than the game. A lot more like the colors and the impact, like. You felt like you were really there with Ellie, and
I watched
the magical moment in that.
I watched the behind the scenes after the episode ended or whatever, and they talked about it. And I believe it was Neil Druckmann, maybe.
Yes,
or one of the showrunners for the actual show.
He was directing the episode. Yep,
they were working on this show before the second game came out, so they were storyboarding it or whatever. And he went to Naughty Dog, and one of the dudes that was developing the game showed him that scene before the game actually came out, before it was like finished or whatever. And the guy was like, "That needs to be in the show." And they
exactly the same way.
They did it with a bunch of with lights on, operated by cranes and stuff like that. They went through how they did it. It was pretty good.
It was really cool, man. And again, there's some scenes in the game that are so impactful that it just needs to be a carbon copy. And that was one of those scenes where I was like, if they do that, it's got to be the same. They nailed it, man. They nailed everything in that scene, because it's just such a good moment. A really good moment. I love watching them grow in that scene. Like, it's just such a good, as you were saying, Ben, Joel loves her. And I do want to talk about that later on, especially with that porch scene. I have a lot to say. This is like,
I cried like a baby.
That was so good. Like, I thought it was better than the game. And just having I love how it just kind of slowly builds up the relationship, and that moment in particular, especially in that room, I just thought it was incredible. They did such a good job with that.
In the space shuttle or whatever, Ellie's grown up in this world. Like, she doesn't know what it's like to go to Walmart. She doesn't know what it's like to go to actual school or whatever.
Right.
And every kid pretty much, you want to be a policeman, you want to be a fireman, you want to be an astronaut. And seeing her and Joel having the headset, putting it on her, and her just closing her eyes, that was the first instance to where she legitimately felt like, well, this is what a normal kid feels like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. How much we take that for granted, when we were kids, we don't have stuff,
this whole episode was basically kind of showcasing like the efforts and everything, and like, Joel would basically like, make everything out of nothing just to bring joy into Ellie's life as a normal kid should, and to make sure that she has some kind of like, memory of
Ability
normalcy
and stuff
and
like
like
Yeah.
parental figures, guidance, exposure to, the unknown, the beyond, your imagination. And that scene was so powerful because it's like, you know, not only has she killed people, she's killed infected. She sees these monsters that were fairy tales in our world, Um, but for even a moment, like Joel even went to the odds and ends of getting a tape of a recording of a liftoff. Like, where
Yeah.
the fuck do you find that? Like
Yeah.
where the fuck, just to make sure that you have that experience, and when to have it planned down to the T where you're gonna pull this out and use this and you're gonna get that full experience for her in that kind of world is nuts, man. And for him to go there, and like, that's again what this whole episode was about, was their whole relationship, and like point A to B, how we got there, the depth of where we got from season 1, which it wasn't great at first at all. They got super close by the end, but they got really close in season 2 that we didn't see until this episode. And then Ellie's basically despises Joel in the start of this whole fucking show, and you're just like, whoa, and
Yeah.
this episode was so crucial to everything that's going on now. What's up, man?
With this scene or whatever, like where she's sitting in in like the spaceship or whatever
Yeah.
with the space helmet. I feel like it goes back to that scene in the same episode where Joel is sitting at the bar and he trades Legos with that guy. And he asks Joel where he got them Legos. His grandkids will love them or whatever.
Mm.
And Joel was like, "Well, you know what? I knew where to look."
Yeah.
So it's not out of the realm of
Yeah.
possibility
Yeah.
that he would be able to find a tape like that. You know what I mean? Because that's just what
Yeah,
Joel does.
That's
for
actually,
sure.
that's actually awesome. I didn't even put two and two
Wow.
together.
Okay.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah.
Wow. All right, man. Um, shit, blow me the fuck away.
Yeah. No, bro, that's great. That's awesome. Good for her.
So like, back to that scene where Ellie again was like, the whole birds and the bees talk, which by the way, that had me fucking dying. He was like, "Oh, did you hear about the birds and the bees?" She's like, "Oh, dicks and vaginas." He turns around, he's like, "Jesus."
I know, bro. Yeah.
That scene was so hard to watch when he like bursted into the room. Like, he went full on like protective dad mode, told like the chick to get the fuck out, and was just like, "Oh, now you're smoking, you're getting tattoos, and like, oh, and you're experimenting with girls." And she's like, "Oh, it's not she's like, "It wasn't sex and it's not experimenting." He's like, "You don't know what you're saying." I'm like, dude, like, I got really uncomfortable because it all clicked immediately. I'm like,
I feel
Joel
like
is from 1980s Texas. That is
Right.
what that is, like, the belief, like anti-gay, anti-fucking anything. And I'm like, that is wild. And I fucking forgot that he came from that upbringing. So I'm like, that makes so
Yeah.
much sense. And I'm like, this is showing the human flaws in Joel right now, and like the honest mistakes in his parenting, and like where he's stepping way too like there's no boundaries with him. Like, there's no
Yeah.
yeah. What were we gonna say, Danny?
I was gonna say, like, I don't necessarily know if it's like Joel being like, homophobic or anti-gay.
Oh no,
or
that's
whatever.
exactly what it is. That's
It's-
exactly what it is.
I feel
Yeah.
I interpreted it as Joel like just looking out for Ellie and not wanting her to because he's experienced things that obviously she's never going to. You know what I mean?
Oh no, for sure.
And
But
it's that
no,
parental instinct, like protection. You know what I mean?
no,
No,
for sure. But
absolutely.
no, it's 100% homophobic.
Yeah.
100%.
It definitely is. Again, one thing I like about this, I kind of was reflecting on the first season with Bill and Frank, how they kind of like did that whole episode. Like in the game, it's kind of like a quick thing.
That was still
But,
the
like,
best episode they ever did.
No, I agree completely. I 100% agree with that. But I'm looking at this one where it's like in the game, like if you played the Left Behind DLC, you know that Ellie's gay, and they definitely explore that in the game as well. And the only scene that really kind of confirms that is like obviously at the dance, and then Joel pushes the guy over, And like we never really knew Joel's thoughts leading up to that moment. Like how would he react to this? Because you're right, Ben. Like he grew up in that time frame. That's why I'm actually
Yeah.
really glad they showed that. I was like, oh yeah, that's absolutely the way like he grew up. So I thought that was cool how they kind of showed like this is how Joel would react to something like this, because we don't really get that kind of stuff in the game. And that's the
Yeah.
kind of stuff that I'd like to learn and kind of grow
And-
with characters about.
And don't forget at the beginning of the episode when Joel and his dad are sitting down, his dad is like, you know what? Maybe you'll do better than I will, or that I did. You know what I mean? And we saw that throughout this episode.
We did, absolutely. Like, when he had that conversation with her about the tattoos, like, you know what, actually, that does look kind of cool. And it kind of like is helping her out with that. And I love that, where he kind of starts off mad, but he's like, you know what, actually, that is kind of cool.
That is kind of a
like
smart ass. That is kind of a
Yeah.
smart idea, or whatever. You wanna hide this. Why not just tattoo over it? You know what I mean?
That
It's like somebody that has scars or whatever, you tattoo.
bro.
Yeah,
but it's also
absolutely.
that, and it shows like the typical dad shit where you're explosively, mindlessly fucking angry at something because it's against everything that you believe in, and then you finally calm down and you're like, okay, it's not that fucking bad.
Cool.
Yeah, like
yeah, for sure. Oh, go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. No, you go. You good.
I was just gonna say, I mean, if you think about this too, he never got to that point with his daughter. I think she died when she was like, I think like not like
10,
pretty
12.
young. Yeah. So he never got to a point like that where Sarah maybe could have been gay. We don't know that. Obviously. So Joel doesn't know how to like react to any
This
of this.
is new.
This is all new to him, and obviously it's all new to Ellie. So it's very cool to like watch their dynamic grow in that aspect. I thought that was pretty cool.
That was again very hard too, because I'm like, fuck, like it shows how imperfect Joel is too, like, because I also said this to Ash, and we're gonna talk about why, but before we get there, because where Joel brought a lot of joy into Ellie's life, he also brought a lot of tragedy, and we're about to talk to that. And I also
he sure did, dude.
I told Ash this like in real time as this is happening. I'm like, I love Joel. Like, I love him so much, but all of these flashbacks make you almost understand why Abby did what she did. Like because I was pissed off at Joel, dude, when it came to Eugene. And
my gosh, dude. So mad because bro, I've read so many reviews of like Joel is like the hero. My bro, dude, I've never seen Joel as a hero, bro, or a beloved character. My bro, Winnie the Pooh is a beloved character. Joel is one of those guys. Joel's one of those guys where I get what he did, but I would be mad too, bro. Like I would be livid. Like I understand Ellie, and after seeing what happened with Eugene. Another thing too, Eugene is like mentioned in the game. He is not in the game, so I thought that was cool. They also brought someone to like be Eugene and kind of added weight to that character
like Frank.
As well. Exactly. Yeah. And I'm like, they didn't have to do this because again, Eugene just kind of mentioned like between dialogue between Ellie and Dina in the game. It's like, oh, Eugene missed that guy, but they really gave him a purpose here, and
like, he was the segue.
Well, it was in episode 1 where him. Where
no, it was mentioned. It was mentioned, but we never thought we were going to see it until you see the trailer of the show and realize, oh fuck, Eugene's still alive. This is a problem.
Well, I knew we were gonna end up seeing him at some point, whether it was a flashback or whatever, because when we first get introduced to Catherine O'Hara's character in episode 1, like that was just such a big moment, where she's like, I know what you did, and I've been trying to forgive you, but I don't know if I can. That was such a big moment. Like I knew we were gonna see a flashback of what happened to him.
Oh, I know, but again, like. That whole scene, dude, was like, because there was way too much sunshine in this fucking episode. Because like I know it's The Last of Us, man. Like there is some hard moment in every episode, lukewarm or hot. Like it is a hard moment in every episode. This one was just completely uncalled for, completely. And Ellie is somebody who can't get reinfected. She's gotten bit like 6, 7 fucking times now and is still fine. Like seeing Eugene bit in like be like, oh, he's kind of a stickler for the fucking rules now all of a sudden, like, oh, we can't allow that. All he wanted to do was say goodbye to his wife because he's scared, he's terrified. He's gonna die. Nobody knows truly what that's like. I don't care what you believe in. I don't care how deep your relationship with God is. We do not fucking know. We don't know what's waiting on the other side. And that's the scariest position to be in, especially when you are not ready to accept that.
Death is like one of my biggest fears, like legitimately.
Because where do you go? And that is a very justifiable thing to want, is the comfort of your most precious loved one in the face of death. That is like the biggest comfort you can go down with, because at that point it's acceptable to you. Like, it's gonna happen, but nobody wants to fucking die afraid or alone. Like, and to see how careless Joel was in that situation. And that same morning, before they even went out for her first patrol, she was already getting ready to confront Joel about all of these things that she kind of already knows. And she already kind of, obviously they talk, and we're going to get to like the forge. She was getting ready, she was getting ready to finally just break the ice, because she's apparently known for a while, but she needs that closure. She needs to fucking know, because she cannot move on. And
I'm sorry.
No, you're good, brother. But yeah, like it was to see this all play out was nuts. But what were you gonna say, bro?
I was just gonna say, dude, one thing again I really liked about this episode is better than the game. I love that she's sitting in her bed practicing what she wants to say to Joel, because in the game, it really is, from what my memory. It's been about a year since I played it, but
yeah,
literally, like Ellie, again, they changed some stuff around. I thought they did it better here, where they're literally, I think they're walking out of like a patrol or something, and Ellie mentioned something. She's like, "Just tell me the truth," and then Joel's kind of actually a little casual about it in the game. It's like, "Would have killed you," but I feel like with all this, like her practicing and going, like she's nervous to ask him, and I really, I like that better. And I didn't in the game; it felt rushed. In this, I really felt like they're like, we're really going to take our time with this, and it just really had more emotion behind it.
It was brilliant,
because I've been in Ellie's shoes. Obviously not with this, where I need to talk to somebody about something, and I go over things in my head, going like, okay, this is how it impacted me, and I need to talk to you. And I write stuff down. I get anxious. So I've been in Ellie's spot. So I love what they did with that. I thought that was really, really, really good.
Do you guys think, now I wanna go back to the moment where Joe kills him. Do you think that we find out what he really wanted to tell his wife? Because he seemed like he had something like really, like it was uber important, but we never really like dove into that.
So we actually did dive into that. He didn't want to say anything to his wife. He didn't want to say anything to her. He wanted her to talk to him. Like, he said, all I need to see is her. All I need to hear is her voice. Like, all I need is just her. Like, I don't need to tell her anything. Because he said, if there's any last words, I want you to relay a message. She's like, I don't have any words. Like, I want her words. This is for me. Like, I'm terrified. I'm dying. Like, there was nothing he wanted to say to his wife. He wanted the comfort of his wife in the face of death. That's all he wanted, was to die comfortably, saying goodbye. Like, like he just wants to fucking say goodbye. Like, when he said that he has so many things he wants to tell her, that's the almost the saying of like, you don't want to go out with so many things left unsaid, because because you thought you had time and he doesn't. And he wanted that comfort for him. That was his safety blanket as he was going to go. And Joel took that from him.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. I thought they did a good job with that too, where it's like, I love how Joel brought him out to the ledge, because you see that in movies and stuff where it's just beautiful and it's like gorgeous. They broke the mold of that, and I thought that was really cool. It's like, okay, I thought that was actually kind of.
And I love how you didn't hear the gunshot or nothing. You just saw like birds.
Yeah, I actually like that too. I thought that was a cool thing. I was like, we know what's going to happen, so I just thought that was a really interesting thing that they did, which I thought worked.
What broke me during that scene specifically is what he said. He's like, I don't need a view, I need her. And like, that broke me, bro.
And then Joel was like, you can always see the people that you love.
Kind of hypocritical, right? Kind of fucking hypocritical, huh? Like, yeah.
And again, I thought they did a good job bringing that all back to like, man, Joel just does not tell the truth. And again, we don't really get a lot of that in the game, so that's why I really like this dialogue that they did, because it really does add more. Like, man, Joel is just. Again, I
He's a
get
piece
why
of
he did
shit.
what he did. He is, and I get why he did what he did. Because if I had a daughter, obviously it'd be like, it'd be tough. Like I want my daughter, but at the same time, do I want to save like mankind? And it's tough. But yeah,
Joel said, "Fuck mankind."
yeah, he's not a good person. I respect the character, but I've always thought of him as like an anti-hero dude, just
bro,
a villain dude.
Mount Rushmore of the bad dad society of the fucking apocalypse, bro. Him and Rick Grimes both can fucking hang out.
Yeah, bro, it's rough, dude. Especially because we really do grow to love Joel, and we just love like his relationship with Ellie, and we just don't want that ruined, but it is ruined, and it's really tough. And I think this episode made it even harder. We're going like, man, this is rough, dude. It's a really, really rough
Can
watch.
we talk about the full circle fucking moment? And I just getting back to the city, bringing the body back after, he promised Ellie, like, hey, I promise I'll bring him back with us so he can say bye to Gale. And then, she's just dead. And he has no words. Like, he has no way to hide for this. He just said, I'm sorry. I had no choice. Ellie knows that's a fucking lie. And now she has no problem just asking him. Not only does she ask him, she fucking outs him. And she's like, oh, that's not what happened.
Joel even said that he's the one that he's the one that shot himself.
Yeah. So,
and then fucking. Way, bro.
And then fucking goes up to Gale and is hugging her, and then she's like, "Oh, that's not what happened." And it wasn't to make Gale feel bad, like Neil Druckmann said or Craig Mazin said. It was to punish Joel. Like, you fucking. And this is what I mean by the full circle moment. When he looked at Ellie and said, "I promise," and she saw the same look in his eyes at the end of season 1 when he said, "I swear." And notice the full circle moment when she didn't say like. You promised, like what she said to fucking Eugene. She said you swore, and that's when she indicated to Joel, I fucking know what you did. Like, and now that just it tied up all those loose ends. All those what ifs were fucking reality. It wasn't a pipe dream anymore. She didn't have to wonder. Joel killed every single one of those people, and she fucking knew it the moment she looked in his eyes, and immediately ran it back there and just said, "You swore."
And it even got tied in earlier on in the episode, like before they found the dinosaur. Remember where they were like crossing that ledge or whatever, and Ellie just looks over and just like in a daze or whatever. And then
she sees the fireflies.
The camera pans over and there's fireflies or whatever.
Yeah.
It's everything was fate in that episode. Everything was fucking fate. All the way from her sitting down on the bed. She's having a great time. It's almost like when she's in those moments with Joel and thinking about Joel, and this plays into whenever she has that guitar in her hands in real time, she almost forgets why she's doing all of these things, and she's brought back to those happy moments. When she's singing, there is nothing Ellie needs to do anymore. Ellie is completely satisfied. When she's not singing, she is tunnel visioned. When Dina is not there, she is completely free to do every awful thing. When Dina is there, she is grounded. And I noticed that is a recurring thing in this fucking thing for Ellie. And you can kind of see that two-sided war she's having with herself. And oh my God, dude, this fucking episode tore me apart in so many directions because there is just so much to say on just the evolution of their relationship and where we ended and the confrontation that, and what it did. And my mind is soup right now, man.
This episode brought me back to my feelings from the season 1. Where season 1 was primarily all about the relationship between Ellie and Joel, and that's exactly what this episode was.
Yeah, I thought they did a good job too, kind of reflecting back to the dance scene, and now we saw it from the other perspective. Now that we know everything and we learned all that, you're like, wow, that was a really. But it also tied into the first episode. The other thing too, I like to change because that dance happens at near the very end of the game, but that's also within a flashback. This was taken within the real time, which I actually liked that they did that, and I loved leading up to it. And then obviously the biggest scene, and I'm sure we'll talk about this, was the porch scene. Now, so for me as a guy who's played the game, the porch scene was my favorite scene in the whole game, just because you cried, you're very emotional. Something big happens right before that kind of. So that's also a flashback scene.
Yeah.
And they changed a lot in the porch scene. They actually added more to it.
Yeah.
That I actually thought made this porch scene a lot better. It was way, way better than the game. And
Because like
blown
at the
away.
at the end of episode 1, all we saw was Ellie like she was walking towards the garage. We didn't see anything. That's where the episode ended, and then obviously we saw.
I don't even want to
2.
talk about the porch scene yet. I want to talk about the dance scene still, because there's something that we've all overlooked, and it clicked in my mind just now. The brutal force that Joel put into that push to Seth,
dude,
is actually a callback to what happened upstairs when he found that chick in Ellie's room when they were fooling around.
I didn't even think about that,
He
bro.
fucking
you guys
pushed him
stuff, yeah.
because remember how hurt Ellie was when she said it's not an experiment? That made him think. So that all that rage was actually on Joel, and that was his way of trying to rectify what he did in that room, to show that he genuinely was like, nah, dude, you can't be saying fucked up shit about gay people. Like, you can't. And that was kind of his way of rectifying it in that situation. And I think that is what kind of pushed the whole thing to the ledge. And we overlooked the fuck out of that. And I just realized that.
That's actually great. For real. Because I didn't even think about that. And that's, man, see, like everything like ties together well in this episode. I thought that's one thing I didn't notice. So that's awesome.
Because I was like, where the fuck did Joel come from when he just randomly just pushed Seth? I was like, there was no focus on Joel. He was just there all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So to get that.
I'm sure you guys talked about it already, but man, that push in the show was way more intense than it was in the game. He like knocked him over, dude. I mean, I was like, dang, bro, he knocked him on the ground. And the game's just like a little like, get out of here. But Joel just like, wham!
Fucking knocked his shit, bro.
Yeah, bro. I was like, gosh, damn, bro, that's crazy. That's awesome.
I love how I love how this
Pain.
entire episode was pretty much like a different perspective. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we got a different perspective at the dance scene. We saw Joel's perspective. We saw the perspective, like I was just saying, like, you know, the port scene or whatever that we'll get into in a few minutes. You know, at the end of the episode 1, we just saw Ellie like she was going to the garage or whatever, and then she ended up waking up in episode 2. Yeah. In this one, we actually saw that she did end up having that interaction with Joel. You know, and we kind of speculated that it was possibly going to be happening.
I'm going to sit here, and can you actually go through with me what happened in the game for the porch scene?
Yeah, absolutely I can. So legitimately, like what happens in the game is that you have the big showdown with Abby, and then Ellie comes back to the house. Dina's gone. The baby's gone. She goes upstairs. She does not, because Abby bit off her fingers, so she can't play guitar anymore. That was so devastating.
Yeah, that hurt.
She has a guitar in her hand, and she's looking out the window, and then it cuts to black, and then it legitimately flashes to the porch scene where she's having that last conversation with Joel. She walks up to Joel, and it's literally, honestly, it's about the same dialogue. They didn't change much. Like, literally, they're like, what'd you get? He's like, coffee? I had to do some few things to get. That's all in the game. They literally didn't change a single thing.
The way that he said it was just like Troy Baker.
Yeah, I was like, definitely some inflections. Like, man, he sound like a lot like Troy Baker, which is crazy. But yeah, literally, they pretty much did the porch scene shot for shot. The only thing that was really that different is that they combined a flashback with that one, and they added more dialogue. There's a scene when you know, Ellie's like, you gotta, like, Joel pretty much tells her, like, if God gave me a chance in that moment, I would do it all over again. And he doesn't say I love you in the game, but he says in the show. And that's when I was really like going like, man, like we already knew, but like it was just good to hear it, I guess you could say. And like they talk about everything on the porch. As I said, that conversation is actually a flashback from the middle of the game where Ellie's like, tell me the truth. If you don't, I'm not going back to Jackson. And then Joel tells her, and he's like, I'm going back, but we're done. And so they kind of combined the two flashback scenes together for the porch scene. I just thought it was executed better in the show. And then essentially after that porch scene, it flashes back to Ellie with the guitar. She leaves the house and just walks off, and that's how the game ends. Like, and then just roll credits.
I've seen that scene.
It ends with the porch scene. In the game, you know.
That whole scene had me fucked up for obvious reasons, especially everything that Joel was saying. You know, like, and he was like, she's like, I think she said something like on the lines like, "How could you?" or something. And he said, because I love you.
Yep.
And ways that I can't describe and ways that maybe you'll never understand. And he's like, maybe when you have one of your own one day, you know, maybe you'll do better than me. And then that's when it fucking hit me like a ton of bricks. Not only because, you know, the flashback with his dad, but like, you know, being one too, you know, that just the heartstrings, you know, and of a girl. So it's just it fucking I'm gonna miss Pedro Pascal's presence in this show because like that kind of showed me that that's the end of things for Pedro. I know that his final scene was the spaceship was like the shuttle when they were in there was like his last day of filming. But knowing that that's the final scene that Pedro Pascal will likely be in, like for filming new things, kind of sucks. But it was a beautiful send off because that scene was one of the most emotionally moving scenes in anything I've ever seen, television, movie, what have you. That scene will probably live with me for the rest of my life, just because of how brutally honest it was, how human it was, and just the fact that he was like, you know, if God ever gave me another chance, I'd do it the whole thing all over again, the same exact way. And I'm just like, dude, a fucking men. Like, regardless of what kind of person you are the fucking greatest dad out there. I don't care.
I don't care. It's hit or miss, bro. Like you love him and hate him. It's tough.
Yeah.
You know. So
as much of a anti-hero or a vigilante or a bad guy Joel may be at times or whatever, I feel like everything he's done was for a reason. Like he didn't necessarily hurt people just to hurt people, and that's the way I look at it. And like it's good following along with these characters every week or whatever on the show. Like I'm gonna miss it, man. I'm not even gonna lie.
I love last season.
Yeah, bro, it's hard to because like you just want because obviously we knew Joel's fate going in. It's just really good to see him back because we missed that relationship with him and Ellie. Because I mean, we had a whole game to build that bond. We also had a whole season that I think actually was, if not better than the game, or just on level with it. So we had this whole time for them to bond and get to know one another. And now that he's just gone, like it just shows how much we do love Joel, but we also don't like him at the same time. But it's like it's really one of those things where the writers in that aspect did a great job of making us have conversations like this because, you know, do we side with Joel? Do we love Joel? Like this is the kind of conversation that they want us to be having. And they did a great job with all this.
I side with Joel 100%. I side with Joel 100% on everything that he's done. You know what I mean? Like he killed those people, whatever, to save Ellie. You know, that's his daughter at the end of the day, you know, and he didn't get to save Sarah. So, you know,
he
got another chance.
I'm actually gonna say I am on behalf of Ellie. I don't disagree there, but I think Joel deserved everything he got in a way because Joel's time was coming because we're not talking about the things that Joel did before Ellie on behalf of just what he was feeling and what Sarah's death did to him. Like, dude, if you were going to put a fucking gun in your mouth, dude, you would have fucking done it. But you put a gun in everybody else's. And if it wasn't then, it was going to happen eventually. Like, Joel was not a good person. He was a good father. He did what any father would do, but he is not a good person. And I say that ultimately he deserved to die on behalf of humanity? Absolutely. If this was a classic black and white good or bad story, Joel is evil, 100%. And that's just the shittiest fact because the most evil people are unfortunately the most relatable.
That's 100% true. 100%. It is hard to pick because again, you know, we had a whole game and a whole series like, you know, being on his side, and then part 2. One thing I will say about part 2, it does have more conversations, whether you love it or hate it. It does have the idea of like what can hate do to a person, what, you know, and it makes you just think. And this whole episode, a lot of it was revolved around that, where like Ellie was so mad at him and like just all those little things, and it makes you go like, dang, I don't know who I side with. It's tough.
Oh, I just fucking remembered something.
Hit it, dude.
What?
I was so pissed off at Joel at first, and now I'm like, fuck, now he had a point. The first season, when he was about it when him and Ellie were going back and forth inside the house before originally Tommy was going to take the journey with her to Salt Lake, and Joel decided to apologize. He said, "You don't know what loss is." She does now, and she became everything became. She's becoming everything Joel became, a ruthless fucking killer on behalf of what you lost. And I just realized that all clicked.
Yeah,
That's fucking
true.
wild, bro. That's
Yeah.
wild.
That's crazy, dude. It's good. I mean, yeah, that's true. That's some good stuff, though. I need to go back and watch season 1 again. It's been a while.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, it's again. I was telling Ben before. I'm still about overall a 6 on the show. I'm probably about the same on the game too. But this episode really makes me excited to see what they're going to do and what they're going to change for this last episode, because I think this will probably be one of the most viewed things. So people want to know what's going to happen.
Perfect.
And
this is a perfect segue.
Yeah.
Now, since you are a player of the games and you know more about the timeline and the pacing of where we're going, what do you think, just based on I don't know if you saw on the next episode of The Last of Us for like the finale, where do you think we are going for the finale and how it's going to end?
I actually didn't see the next on. So if you explain to me, maybe I can. Maybe
Should you play real quick and you can just edit it out?
Yes, I can actually. So I don't know because he's on his phone, so I don't know what he can and can't see. So I don't want to like have him like watch a tiny ass screen. So basically, I can quickly take a look real quick.
No, you're good, bro. Yeah, if you want to explain it, I can see kind of where we're going to go with this.
All right, give me 1 sec. Exit full screen.
Yeah, man. Why not? Maybe I'll do that, dude. Maybe no one will know who I am.
The episode, next episode, is Dina's giving Ellie a bracelet. Jesse and Ellie are getting shot at. It's raining. Isaac's back. Ellie's next to a boat in water.
Oh man. Oh,
fucking there's like a war between the Scars and the Wolves going on. And they're trying to like get out of it because they're like in the middle of it, and fucking Jesse's like, this isn't our war. And I know Jesse bites it eventually in in like the game.
Yeah, he's
and it's like kind of out of nowhere, but I think the next episode Jesse might fucking die, bro.
No, you are correct, because that all happens in the game. So like right when Ellie, to be honest, bro, I don't really exactly know where it's gonna go, just because like they're changing some things up. Where I'm like, because I guess at this point in the story, she is in Seattle and she's fighting some of the Seraphites and the wolves or whatever, and then she comes back, and then Abby is there. So it's been a while since I played the game. So all I do remember is a few things I will guarantee: Tommy will be there.
Yeah,
100%. Jesse is going to die. Abby's gonna kill him. That happens right before the switch, so he is gonna bite it. And then Ellie's gonna tell Abby, like, you know, I'm the one that you want, and then that's when that's when the switch is gonna happen, and then that's when it's gonna end. So I actually don't know. That's gonna happen at the end. I don't know what's gonna be the lead up, because they have been switching some stuff around. I don't know. That's why. Yeah, go ahead.
That looks like there's going to be like an emotional, touching scene between Dina and Jesse. So I think it might happen in the next episode.
Yeah, I don't exactly know. I think I know how it will end, but leading up to it, I'm not entirely sure what they'll do. Maybe they'll bring Abby back for something. I'm not entirely sure, but I actually don't know. That's why I'm excited to see it, because they have been changing some things. So even as the guy who's played the games, I don't know exactly, what they're really going to do with it.
I feel like Jesse legitimately is gonna die, because
he is
in the scene where Dina comes clean to Ellie that she's pregnant or whatever. Ellie's like, I'm gonna be a dad. Not we're gonna be a dad, as in her.
Oh, we've touched on this a million times, bro. Like that scene still infuriates the fuck out of me, dude. It's like, nah, bitch, you're the fucking replacement. What the fuck you mean you're gonna be a dad? I'm sorry, that pissed me off so bad. I'm like, how are you about to say, I guess, Jesse? What is he, automatically a deadbeat?
We'll talk. We can talk about this more off the.
Bro, if you have a dick, you're a deadbeat. So I mean, that's just how people look at us, men.
Yeah. Yeah. No facts, dude. But I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna. I don't know the build up to it. I know how I think it's gonna end. I just don't know what they're gonna do. So I'm just as curious as everyone else on what they're gonna do with all this.
All right.
We'll see what happens.
With that being said, is there anything you guys want to add that we haven't touched on before we end the episode?
episode was fantastic. I think everybody needs to watch it. There's a lot of people still that, I see people on social media just
Same.
trashing this show every fucking day, and it's just infuriating. It's like people just don't know what good television is. And like I was telling Chandler earlier, like he doesn't like the season fair. And I give him that because he's played the game. So
Yeah.
like I don't know. I haven't watched any gameplay from the second game. I haven't watched any cutscenes. Like I have a different perspective.
We have an edge,
My
bro.
slate is clean. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we have an edge.
So I'm going into the show as, oh, it's a cool show. I like these characters. It's not, oh, I like this show, but it's not better than the game. You know what I mean? So.
No, I feel that, bro. I really like this episode. As I was saying, I episode 1 and 2 kind of iffy in the other episodes, but this one really got me excited again because I have been not like hateful. I just am not vibing with it. I'm not connecting with it. And to be fair, I had some issues with the game about, as I mentioned to you, Ben, my wife kind of showed me some things like in the game where everything kind of connects, and that kind of opened my eyes a little bit more. But I definitely still prefer part 1 over 2. But this episode in particular, this was some of the best television I've seen in a while. Just emotional, and parts of it were funny, just really well shot. Like everything made sense. Like I felt like this told a better story in a flashback. It built more of what's going to happen next, and I thought that was like the best thing they could have done, and it all came full circle. So to me, honestly, this might be a big thing. I think to me, kind of, this was like the Bill and Frank episode of this season. If I'm going to say it, the most of them, that would be my pick for it for sure.
I remember when we were doing the podcast for season 1, everybody seemed to like, I think it was either you and Nico or one of you guys was doing nothing but talking about how horrible the second game was or whatever. Do you think that could be, why you're thinking the way you're thinking based on what you're seeing in season 2 because the game wasn't that good?
See, I think as a gamer, I think the game is fantastic when it comes to like the actual gameplay. It's just mostly like the story that I had an issue with. And it's not so much like the story, it's the way that they kind of told the story that's what I kind of had issues with. But
yeah,
I think parts of this is actually making me like it a little bit more. I just think they're able to add stuff that they can't do in the game. So I do think it is kind of making it a little bit better. But as you were saying, I've seen a lot of the hate for the show, but it is going towards a lot of people that haven't played the game or didn't know what happened. Like it really, honestly, it's funny watching people get mad about Joel's death. It felt like it was 2020 again because I remember reading all about that when the game came out and everyone hated it. So it's literally like y'all had to go
pinch of nostalgia.
Pain. Yeah, I had to go through my pain like 5 years ago, but. Yeah, I mean, because I mean, everyone's getting so mad. Like, I already knew about this.
Bro, imagine waiting 7 years for a sequel just to fucking hate yourself for playing it.
Bro, that was. Yeah, I was honestly, bro. I was actually really depressed after I played Last of Us Part 2. Like that, Last of Us Part 1 had some joy in it. Like there's some funny parts, but bro, there was like no joy in the second game. It is so dark and so sad. You're just kind of depressed, especially during an actual pandemic. Man, life was tough, bro.
Yeah, dude.
It was tough, dude. It was really tough, but best episode of the season so far, 100%. I'm glad you got me on this one, so I can actually be a little more positive. The show's not terrible. show's not terrible. It's just stuff I don't really vibe with much. But this episode was great, legitimately great.
Well, fucking sweet. Well, guys, that was episode 6 of The Last of Us post-show talking events for Two Sticks and Pure Rage podcast. Chandler, buddy, thank you so much for joining the show, and it was great to talk to you, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on, bro. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So you guys can find all of our socials in the links down below in the description box. Hit the post bell notification to know when we upload or go live, and hit the subscribe button down below. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.